It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. With everyone out and about enjoying the hot summer air, swimming lessons and safety are of the utmost importance. And Goldfish Swim School in West Bloomfield recently did their part by taking part in the world's largest swim lesson, a global swim class taught by several different swim schools all throughout the world that teaches safety and proper etiquette when out in the water. I was out at their class to hear from some of the teachers and attendees on why these lessons are so important.
It is the world's largest swim lesson. It's just bringing awareness to drowning prevention and taking that first initial step to saying you're going to be a safer swimmer by taking this lesson. So what we're going to have today is this hour of open swim where the kids get to have fun in the water, participate in it, and then afterwards we're going to do a water safety presentation, not just for the kids but also for the parents on how to practice water safety at home.
I think it's absolutely important for all the young children to learn how to swim. We live in Michigan. There's a lot of lakes around here, and it's important to know how to swim.
How cool is it for a place like Goldfish to be involved in something like the world's largest swim lesson?
That's a pretty amazing effort that they're putting forth to get people out and aware of water safety. Even if they can swim just a little bit, it's helpful, but I would always suggest a life jacket for younger children anyways.
What would you say were some of the most important lessons that were taught at this class today?
Probably it was nice at the end that they explored like how to do the water safety, try to help others if they're in need, because we've never really talked about it. So it's nice to know like to throw something for help and stuff like that. Yeah.
You kind of see every day different stories of stuff happening around the water, and I kind of do as much as I can to prevent that, as well as everyone else here. We really strive to keep everyone safe, not only here, not only with their at-home school, not only it's kind of like rivers, lakes, anything around that, just kind of around the world. Really just bring awareness as much as possible to people just so they can be safe in and around the water.
What do you hope are some of the biggest things everyone takes away from here today?
I hope everybody takes away a much better understanding of the water safety that's needed and how to protect your children in the lakes and rivers of the area.
I think the most important thing that if I can tell them is swim lessons save lives. By taking swim lessons, you stop that prevention of drowning up to 80%. So it is just such a big number. That's a big jump. 80% is such a big number to know that, like just knowing that we're going to prevent that drowning.
Our biggest thing is water safety. Our number one priority is water safety. So not only just as being a Goldfish thing, but being a nationwide thing of people at home doing this, different swim schools of really pushing that water safety. We have our whole month dedicated to water safety, so I love that we can put an extra day worldwide to have people put first water safety.
Water safety truly is very important no matter where you go. It's awesome that we have such great resources like Goldfish Swim School right here in Greater West Bloomfield to provide these lessons and these resources for all of the kids to make sure they stay safe this summer. If you're out and about in Greater West Bloomfield today looking for something good to eat, you can stop by the Civic Center campus in West Bloomfield for the delicious delicacy of the week to satisfy your hunger. Our own Kevin McIntosh has the story.
Virtually every Tuesday during the summer, West Bloomfield Township, Library, Police, and Parks Department organizes a weekly food truck gathering right here in West Bloomfield Civic Center. The special event features local businesses serving various dishes, cuisines, and eats to inspire local residents to get out of the house, support small businesses, and try some new food. I'm here at West Bloomfield Civic Center to check out these food trucks, see what Greater West Bloomfield residents think of the summer tradition and how it impacts these local businesses.
Well, at first I was just returning books, but then I saw the sign saying that they have food trucks today, so I was like, let me take a look. And then I got me a quesadilla, and I looked at the frozen lemonade, so I was interested, so I wanted some.
Food Truck Tuesdays launched in May and runs through September, bringing local flavors straight to the Civic Center.
Well, today actually we're serving a special item that we did for Juneteenth called the Harriet. And it's with roasted shiitakes. It's got red cabbage, some pickled onions, and cucumbers, and a garlic aioli, and that's been really, really popular. So we're featuring that today.
We have tons of items. A lot of the popular ones that we get are the walking tacos because they're easy on the go. Kids love those. Our other popular item is our birria, quesabirria. We have birria enchiladas, which not many people have. So they're like, what is that? And they taste them and they're amazing. Tacos from all different types of meats, but quesadillas, burritos, anything you can think of.
And you can even get your caffeine fix. Bowie's Coffee is parked here each Tuesday all summer long.
Yeah, especially for hot days. We have frozen lemonades, iced lattes, hot lattes, smoothies, cold brew, chai, kombucha. So any drink that you need to cool down or warm up, we have it.
With food trucks scheduled through September 30th, it's a perfect way to discover new food and support small businesses.
I think it's a good upstart for businesses, putting it in a community where everyone can visit or do events because the rec center is all the way over there. So having people come from the rec center or to the library is a good opportunity for this business to start booming.
By combining convenience and community, Food Truck Tuesdays highlight West Bloomfield's family-friendly approach to public programming while having a lasting impact on local entrepreneurs.
West Bloomfield is very close to where we're out of and where we typically operate from. So from doing this, we've actually earned some regular customers who kind of found us here, and now they routinely come and see us, every week when we're in Waterford or Clarkson area. So
we've gotten to do a lot of school events for Bloomfield Hills, West Bloomfield, Waterford schools, just from the word of mouth and participating. A lot of the PTOs and everyone has reached out, which has been really awesome.
We've gotten a lot. So we do a lot of catering as well on top of, going to events and stuff. So the nice thing about it is that we do hear oh, I tried some of your stuff at this event or whatever. And they're and we want to do some catering. And that's been probably one of our biggest things is that we've gotten a lot of caterings for that. And it's been amazing.
Carrots, quesadilla, and coffee are some of the many choices you have when you visit Food Truck Tuesdays right here in West Bloomfield. It's a special event that's meant to bring the community together and enjoy this great summer weather. If you find time on your next lunch break between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., come by and try some of the food yourself. From the West Bloomfield Civic Center, I'm Kevin McIntosh, Civic Center TV.
Very delicious food. Now, as Kevin said, there's going to be a brand new food truck available every Tuesday from 11:30 to 1:30. And today, the truck available at the Civic Center campus will be Cousin's Maine Lobster. Unfortunately, with my shellfish allergy, I'm going to have to skip this one, but the rest of Greater West Bloomfield will surely be appreciative of what's provided here on the Civic Center campus. Celebrate Independence Day early with the Sylvan July Jamboree, a 3-day community celebration packed with summer fun. Festivities kick off today, July 1st at 7 p.m. with Christian's Cupcake Concert at the Community Center, a residents and friends talent showcase. On July 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m., enjoy mouth-watering eats from Chubb's Barbecue and Good Humor Trucks, plus exciting activities like an Arctic obstacle course, polar plunge inflatables, and classic lawn games. And the celebration concludes on July 3rd with the dazzling fireworks show at dusk, courtesy of the Oakland County Boat Club. Presented in partnership with the Oakland County Boat Club and Oakland County Parks, this event promises festive fun for all ages. And the Oakland County Boat Club fireworks are one of Sylvan Lake's greatest traditions, inviting everyone from the township outside to enjoy food, friendship, festivities, and everything to celebrate the summer season. Tim Harris, the Commodore for the Oakland County Boat Club, recently joined us on the Splash Live to tell us more. Tim, great to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Really, really happy to have you with us and really excited to be getting into this conversation. I know that this is one of the favorite events of Greater West Bloomfield. How long has the Oakland County Boat Club been hosting the July 3rd fireworks show?
Well, I think it's going back way before my time. The club started in 1912. So
Oh, wow.
we've been hosting them for probably over 70 years.
That is incredible. 70 years of tradition, 70 years of fireworks and festivities. What would you say, what do you think inspired the Boat Club to begin this annual tradition?
I believe I just started with a group of boat club members that started with some fireworks and turned it into a dedicated day on the lake for families to come out and enjoy the day. And it's just bloomed and blossomed into a great event.
It certainly has, and I was out at the event last year. It was so much fun. You can see the footage right now if you're watching on civiccentertv.com, but seeing everybody out on the water, everyone out on their boats, having such a great time, enjoying the summer air. It was such an incredible experience. And Tim, I'm curious, what does it take to organize and execute a show of this size and quality?
It takes a dedicated team, a big committee. I would like to thank them because they do it all. We have to communicate with the city. We got to get permits. Gen X, our pyro technicians out there on the water, they've been doing it since 2000. We really appreciate all their hard work. They really help with the city side and the fire department. It takes dedication from our organization to get the letters out. We do mailers, we do fundraising events to collect monies. This is a pure volunteer donation type fireworks. The Oakland County Boat Club does cover the cost of this. There's several big sponsors on the lake, like DMF Bait.
I'm so happy you just mentioned volunteers because you're absolutely right. They do play a huge role in helping to make this event and a lot of events throughout Greater West Bloomfield possible. I want you to talk a little bit more about really what the volunteers do and what role they have in helping to make this event a success every single year.
Well, we preach safety a lot. There's a lot of things set up for safety, a lot of water safety, keeping the boats back from the barges, getting the committees focused on the event itself, the food. We cover porta-johns for the local city streets. There's just so many things that our committees do, and a lot of it's fundraising throughout the year to generate the cash and the cash flow to do this fireworks. So, and even ordering the fireworks themselves from China now is becoming a feat. So there's some challenging steps in the way that hurdles we got to get over, but we make it. Every year we make it.
That's right. Lots of hard work to help make this event possible, but it's worth it every single year. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with a Commodore for the Oakland County Boat Club, Tim Harris, about this year's Oakland County Boat Club Fireworks Festivities event that's going to be taking place on July 3rd. Now, Tim, you just touched on this a little bit a second ago, but how do you ensure safety for both the audience and those out on the water during the fireworks? Because everybody wants to have fun, but you got to make sure everyone's safe at the same time.
Yes, we have support from Sylvan Lake Police, Tego, West Bloomfield, Oakland County. Oakland County, they're all out on the water too in their boats. We do have other boats out on the water with flashing lights on, keeping the boats back and away from the barges. So we got kind of like a cordoned off area in the lake where we have the boats out there. And then we have the actual techno boat is away from the barge when they're launching them off. It's kind of like all remote access or like a Bluetooth system with their computer. They launch the show. So they're in a safe position. The people on shore, we have officers walking the streets, and we also have EMS on hand too. So we try to cover every base out there, and with the local law enforcement's all on the same page. They do a great job, fantastic job.
They certainly do. Lots of very dedicated work to help keep the community safe. Now, Tim, with how long these festivities have been going on, I can imagine that there have been so many memories that have taken place throughout the last few years. Are there any memorable stories or moments from the past years that stand out to you?
Well, I tell you what, back when we had the COVID events, we were shut down at the Sylvan Lake side. I did manage to muster up some fireworks over on the Waterford side, but taking it away from the club really was, it was just didn't feel right. So it was very warm and welcoming when the city let us back into doing it after COVID was lifted. So it was great coming back and working with the city and having the show down on our side of the lake and in front of the club again. And those were memorable times that I can remember.
I can imagine so. With COVID having to put a pause on everything, I can imagine that this event came back stronger, bigger, better than ever before. And with how impactful that this event has been over the years, how has the fireworks show strengthened community ties around Sylvan Lake and beyond?
Well, I honestly believe that people coming together now, it's much easier for people to gather and be more comfortable. The quality and quantity of the people coming out is quite amazing. There's a lot more foot traffic. There's a lot more people out on the streets. There's a lot more people coming into the club. There's faces there I haven't seen before that members are coming in. It's just been a great experience the last year and a half, 2 years, and I hope it continues to grow. And plus, I will also mention that I love to see all the kids coming in. Got a lot of kids coming in with their parents, and we're going to do some good things for the kids too, because it's a family place.
Oh man, I'm sure the kids have so much to look forward to with the fireworks show this year. Tim, what advice would you give to first-time attendees to really get the most out of the experience?
Well, first and most, it's you got to get here early. You got to get your seat. You know, there's a lot of people that come down, and the early bird definitely works here. There's not a lot of parking down and around the facility, but the Oakland County Boat Club is offering a shuttle from Geno's over on Cass Lake Road to Ferndale Street by the club. So that'll run from 6 to 12 a.m. on July 3rd to help people get around, and it's free. So.
Well, these resources will help everybody and will help create a lot more traffic for this incredible event. Tim, I got one more question before we wrap things up. How can residents and local businesses support or continue or contribute to the continued success of this tradition for years to come? Because I'm sure everybody wants to see this tradition go on for a very, very long time.
Well, I tell you what, they've been coming together more and more. I get more and more businesses contributing. They donate. They get a big banner. We put it on the building. There's a tremendous amount of residents that contribute generously every year. Like I say, we send out a mailer, and we have a QR code now. You could send money in on our QR code. That helps out a lot. That's been working out real well this year. But like I said, DMF Bait, they've been amazing. They're our gold sponsor. They contribute for the last 10 years. They're very, very helpful. So the community in itself is very, very supportive of what we're doing, and I'm very grateful for that. And so is the club and all the members.
And the community is grateful for everything that you guys do to help make this event possible. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you.
One of Sylvan Lake's most beloved traditions. Everyone is going to be out enjoying the fireworks in just a couple of days, and we all have people like Tim to thank for such great events that take place throughout Greater West Bloomfield. Can't wait to see everybody out at the Oakland County Boat Club fireworks on July 3rd. With the 4th of July in just a couple of days, there's sure to be loads of fun out on the water. but it's important that everyone in the community stays safe when doing so. The West Bloomfield Police Department has issued out reminders of the dangers of boating while drinking, as up to 70% of water recreation deaths for teens and adults involve the use of alcohol. Joining us on the Splash Live right now, we have Lieutenant Todd Metcalf with the West Bloomfield Police Department to help provide some guidance for staying safe this holiday. Todd, great to have you with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course, glad to have you here with us. Very important conversation to be having around this time of year. Let's jump right into it. What are some of the most common misconceptions people have about drinking while boating?
Well, that it's not as serious. Drinking and boating is not as serious as drinking and driving, which could be farther from the truth. Obviously, boats are on a very unstable platform. A lot of people don't own boats. A lot of people drive, though, a vehicle, so they forget that they get in a motor vehicle, which is a daily occurrence, to go to work, to go to pick up their children or do stuff like that. It's just something that they do every day. A lot of people don't own boats, so when they get on a boat, they think it's vacation, which it is, fun, having a good time, and drinking becomes it's overlooked on the roadways. So it's actually more dangerous because of that misconception right there that it's not as serious, which it is, in fact, just as serious.
You're absolutely right. It's one of those things where I think if people got behind the wheel of a boat, they would understand just how difficult it could be to navigate that throughout the water. I've driven a boat before. I know how dangerous it can be when not done properly. How does operating a boat under the influence compare legally and physically to driving a car under the influence?
Well, the penalties are exactly the same. Everything's exactly the same. The same amount of BAC in your limit and your body is exactly the same as on the roadway operating a motor vehicle, which can be a 2-ton automobile. People forget that when they're on land, the land is stable, so they can kind of gauge their intoxication level when they're at a party at a friend's house. On a boat with the waves and stuff like that, it's not easy to determine with the weather and the heat. So when it comes to the legalities, it's exactly the same thing. It's a crime over 0.08. It's the same guidelines as driving a motor vehicle on the roadway, and be mindful of that. It doesn't matter how much you drink, a 0.08 across the board. Anything over that, and you can be arrested.
That's absolutely right. 0.08. You definitely don't want to be above that limit. Todd, what penalties could somebody face if they are convicted of boating under the influence here in Michigan?
Well, just touch base on the 0.08. You still can be arrested for a 0.06, a 0.07 in your system. It's all about being impaired. So 0.08 is the illegal limit, we like to call it. I like to call it anyway. So anything over that is a guaranteed arrest. But underneath that, you still can be arrested at a 0.06 for being impaired. Getting back to your question, convicted, first offense for operating while impaired or intoxicated for boating or driving a vehicle is a 93-day misdemeanor. That's across the board for both vehicles. If you get caught for a second offense, that's a 1-year misdemeanor. And a third offense is a 5-year felony, which is in lifetime. So if you get charged for a third offense within a lifetime, that's a felony. That's bare minimum charges. That's if no injuries happen, simple getting pulled over, intoxicated, those are the penalties. That's not including probation, not including fines and costs, your insurance for your vehicles, which will skyrocket. So that's just the best case scenario if you're caught.
Even still, very serious consequences for boating under the influence. Definitely something everybody will want to avoid. Now, Todd, what are the signs law enforcement looks for when identifying impaired boaters out on the water?
Well, obviously, there's some challenges on the water. It's like I said, there's no lanes to follow. There is direction of travel, but people are out there boating around trying to avoid each other, stuff like that. On the roadway, obviously, we have lanes, but the most common thing that we look for is reckless and careless driving. Obviously, those boats will stand out with people being reckless and just being boisterous on the boat. Those are the main things that you look out for: driving too close to other boats, causing larger wakes, disregarding the no wake zones, and just people trying to relax on their own and have a good time. Those are the main things. And obviously, we get phone calls, which we encourage the most from citizens. That helps us catch a lot of individuals on the roadway that are speeding or intoxicated. And same thing applies on the waterways. We get phone calls of intoxicated boaters. Help us look for them.
That's right. The citizens play a big role in helping you guys to identify these offenders and to help serve some justice. Now, I would imagine that alcohol is not the only substance that can impair a boater's ability. What are some other substances that can lead to legal consequences?
That's a very good point. That is correct. Alcohol is one item that can cause intoxication. That's obviously easy to detect at times. There's an odor that comes from a person's breath, and obviously some eye movements of that nature. When it comes to other items, what I'm looking for here, other substances, I'm sorry, people forget that prescription can cause impairment. Just because you're prescribed an item from the doctor, whether it's a pain medication or stuff like that, over uses of that stuff can cause impairment. Not to mention your illegal drugs. Just because you don't like alcohol doesn't mean if you consume heroin or inject cocaine or sniff cocaine, even marijuana in your system, those all can be related. And obviously at first glance, we would not know that, but there may be a smell, but we go through sobriety tests and the blood work would indicate what factors and what levels of those substances are in your system, which are all illegal.
Lieutenant Todd Metcalf with the West Bloomfield Police Department is joining us right now on the Splash Live for a discussion on boating safety this holiday weekend and the dangers of drinking while boating. Now, Todd, most importantly with this holiday weekend, obviously we want everybody to have some fun, but we want everybody to stay safe regardless of what happens. What safety tips would you recommend for families heading out on the water for this 4th of July weekend?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I'd like to point out that I'm a human being as well. I have a place up north on a lake. I like to go boating up there with family and friends, so I'm not immune. I mean, I go out there every time I understand. Safety tips, obviously there's no seatbelts like in cars, but make sure everybody's got a life preserver. And people always ask me, hey, Todd, you're a cop. What do you do nowadays with all the stuff going on with the wars and you drive to religious facilities? Just the main thing I tell people is be aware of your surroundings, whether you're driving a boat, whether you're driving a car, whether you're traveling somewhere, always be aware of your surroundings. Don't be afraid to leave the home, but just, if you're on the lake and you see a party, some chaos in one section, maybe go to the other side of the lake and keep your family safe from that area. You just don't know. Just be mindful of your surroundings, make sure your safety equipment's in place, and that's the best thing I can do. And enjoy life, have fun, but be mindful of your surroundings.
That's right. Be mindful of your surroundings. You can still have fun, but make sure that it's within your limits and that it's not endangering anybody else. And if you are going to be drinking out on the water, it's very important. Talk about how important it would be to have a designated sober operator on board, and how should that be arranged ahead of time?
Well, I mean, know your people. Like I tell, as I climb the ladder here as a boss, you got to know your surroundings, know your people. If you have a bunch of people come onto your boat and somebody volunteers to be a designated driver, is this somebody that can't control themselves or will sneak a drink on the side, or they've had drinking problems in the past? Maybe not somebody you want to rely on. If Uncle Bob, for example, doesn't drink at all and he wants to come along, there's your driver. So be mindful of who you have on your boat and who you trust. And obviously, a designated driver is key. Even when you're on land, Ubers and Lyfts could be the difference between a $60 ride home in safety to sitting in jail overnight. So be mindful of that.
That's absolutely right. And you touched on this just a little bit ago, but what should passengers and fellow boaters do if they suspect someone is operating a vessel while impaired?
Excellent. We encourage people not to engage these individuals. You just don't know the stability, what can happen. But do the best you can as a witness. Gather the boat's description, the number on the side of the hull. Get the best description as you possibly can to provide to a 911 provider if you want to call from there. Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Division is the full authority on the lakes in West Bloomfield. So if you know a deputy's on the water, maybe seek him and her out. But again, don't approach the person and try to detain them. Just get the best description possible and keep your distance. And call the emergency personnel out there.
All important information to keep in mind. Todd, last question before we wrap things up. Where can residents learn more about boating laws and safe boating practices in Michigan?
Well, there's this little thing called the internet. So Google is obviously, even as police officers on the road, if we're out driving around, we get stumped on something, we'll pull up the internet. And obviously, like the motor vehicle code book has all this stuff in there. But if you have any questions, you can just type it in. It'll tell you everything you need to know about the Michigan laws, compile laws. And if you want to go into a little more in-depth conversation or find out a little more about boating and intoxication or drinking in the waterways, the Oakland County Sheriff's Department Marine Division is, like I said, the full authority. We do not have a Marine Division here at West Bloomfield, so our authority pretty much stops at the shore, and we assist that way. But anything that happens in major events is the Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Division. So they'd be a one person to talk to. You can talk to them over there, their supervisors, if you have any more in-depth conversations.
All great information right at our fingertips. Todd, thank you so much for joining us today here in the Splash Live.
Thanks for having me. Take care, guys. Have a great holiday.
You as well. Lots of fun to look forward to this 4th of July weekend, but of course it is very important for everybody to stay safe when they are out on the water. So we really appreciate Lieutenant Metcalf for stopping by and for having this conversation here on the Splash Live. Plenty of other stories and topics to get into later on in the program. We're going to take a quick break and jump back into things right after this. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Sylvan Lake, Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Hi, this is Ken Graham, Director of the National Weather Service. Leaving a kid or a pet in a car can be deadly. In fact, every year, dozens of kids die of heat stroke in hot automobiles. Some are left there by caretakers, others get in there on their own, and they can't get back out. All of these deaths are preventable. Even on a relatively cool day or cloudy day, the temperature inside a car can quickly reach deadly temperatures in minutes. To keep your child or pet safe, set reminders, like a simple note on a dashboard, or put your phone or other belongings in the back seat. I always place my backpack in the back. Kids don't see the family car as dangerous, but in just 10 minutes, a hot vehicle can be fatal. Never leave a child unattended. Look before you lock.
Hello, my name is Danya Bazzi. I'm the Superintendent of West Bloomfield School District. I want to congratulate Civic Center TV on hitting the amazing milestone of 1 million viewers. Your involvement in our community doesn't go unnoticed. We thank you for keeping our residents and community engaged in the latest and greatest news and information. I'm Danya Bazzi, and I'm proud to be 1 in a million.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to the Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield is getting an increase in their water rates. The West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees voted to raise water and sewer rates starting with the July 1st meter read to address inflation, aging infrastructure, and revenue shortfalls. You do the math, July 1st, that is today. West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Jonathan Warshay recently joined us on the Splash Live to discuss the process and what this will mean for West Bloomfield residents.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Warshay.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. Good morning.
Thank you. And we just want to address some of these issues so we can answer some of these questions immediately and as soon as possible. Just starting with the why now. What were the most urgent factors that made this the right time for a water rate increase?
Well, I don't know that there's ever a right time for an increase, at least as far as the public is concerned, but we have 4 or 5 main things that occurred, events. One is Great Lakes Water Authority, from whom we buy our water, had a larger rate increase. Just to give folks a little background, it used to be Detroit Water that became Great Lakes. And when it became a regional water authority, they agreed not to have more than 4% increases for 10 years.
Okay.
That 10 years is up, so the rate was more than 4%. We also have 2 sewer systems that West Bloomfield is part of. Those are through the county. One covers more the northern part, one the southern part, and both of those had larger rate increases. Because we don't control either of those factors, we sort of have to go along for the ride. So that's part of it. We also, those systems needed capital improvements, and those extra costs get passed on to us as well. We also have aging infrastructure within the township. So a lot of our water mains were built 50 years or more ago, and those things have deteriorated, and we're going through a program to replace them. Rather than have a break all of a sudden and put people in the lurch. So those are quite expensive. We're doing one, for example, in the West Acres area that we're going to work on. It was scheduled to be $11.5 million, and it's pushing 14. So those things all go into the water rate. And then the last thing, which sounds a little strange, is water loss through the system. Unlike your house, water pipes in the township and everywhere else will leak a little bit, the water mains. Great Lakes Water Authority had a bad meter, a giant meter that the township was using to measure the water that we use throughout the township. It was under reading the amount of water that was being done, so they weren't charging us the full amount.
Wow.
They replaced the meter, and we went from it was so defective, in fact, that sometimes we used more water than we got billed for. So now we're paying for it. So it's we lose about 10% of the water through the system. And just so folks know, we are doing a sound study where they use sound throughout the pipes to detect leaks. If it's a large leak, they fix it immediately. And if it's a smaller leak, then it goes on a list, and we'll be addressing all of those. And that way we'll only be paying for the water that we actually use. And that'll decrease cost to some amount.
Wow, a lot of different factors, and I'm so glad you took the time to explain that, because it adds context and perspective to this situation where a lot of people are just going to get those bills and say, what's going on here? But now that you're added that information, I think it kind of explains a little bit more. Specifically with the infrastructure, I want to go into that. How does this decision support the township's long-term plan for infrastructure?
So we look through how old the pipes are in different areas and if there's been issues, and those are the ones that get done sooner. We have capital improvement projects over the years, and so we try to get to all of the water mains as part of that. So we work in different parts of the township to replace those. Since we are talking about bills, I'll use mine as an example. My last water bill was a little over $200. So if my water usage is the same, my bill will go up $45, $50. Now that's a quarter, so we're talking $15 to $20 a month for my house. Now, folks that have more people in the house using water, or if they have a pool, they're certainly going to see a larger increase than that. Now, as I just said, we bill quarterly, so every 3 months you get a bill. I know that most people do their budgets monthly, so a quarterly bill is a little harder to budget for. So what we're planning to do next year is to go to monthly billing.
Okay.
Just to that should make it easier on everyone. We've currently half our meters are smart meters. So what that means is the water usage gets fed into our water department 4 times a day for each house. And what that does, not so much that we're trying to see what people are doing, but if there's a leak, we'll know within a day, rather than somebody getting a bill after a quarter with a high amount. There's also an app called Eye on Water. So if your house has one of these smart meters, and I'll let folks know, if you don't have one now, we're still doing it. It'll probably be another 4 years before everyone is on the smart meters.
Okay.
But if you have a smart meter, you can have an app called Eye on Water, and it'll alert you to leaks. You tell how many people are in your house. You can indicate if you have a pool or if you're using sprinklers, so that it sort of educates it to know how much water usage to expect, and then it'll alert you if you are using higher than normal use water.
Seems like it's a very handy tool to keep in mind, and we're hoping that our audience took note of that and go ahead to find out how you can get one of those smart meters as well. But with me right here live on The Splash, by the way, we have West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Jonathan Warshay discussing the new vote from the West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees raising the water and sewage rates that will go into effect July 1st. And just talking about the reason behind the increase as well. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we let you go is the cost of living and everything rising. Everything is getting more expensive, and now we have this to add on top of it. So I want you to address this. With the rising cost of living, how is the township working to ease the burden of these higher water bills for our lower income households or even our fixed income residents like our retirees?
Well, it's certainly, as I mentioned, getting rid of the leaks to reduce the costs is the biggest thing that we can do, and that's why we have those capital improvement programs. But folks can also get help if they need financial help for their bills. They can call our water department at 248-451-4780. And there's a couple of programs out there that folks can use for help. One is through the Great Lakes Water Authority, and the second is through the United Way. And again, if you call our water department at 248-451-4780, they will give you information on those programs, what you need to apply, that kind of stuff, so that you can get some help with your bills.
Great, and thank you for providing that information as well. We'll try to provide that to our audience as well, just as a recap. Mr. Warshay, we appreciate you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to take this time to explain to us this. Any additional key information you would like to let residents know before we let you go today?
Well, the approach we took was to sort of get the water rates back on track for now, so that we don't have to increase it as much later. And that's our goal. Of course, we're sort of at the mercy again of what Great Lakes Water Authority and the county does. We're hoping they keep theirs down, but by doing the jump now, hopefully it won't be so painful later. And I know that's not a lot of consolation, but that was the thinking of the board in doing so.
Yeah, and I mean, in the long run, essentially, it should save us a little bit of pain, and I completely understand that. And we thank you so much for your time and your information. Once again, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, Mr. Jonathan Warshay.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Lots of changes and news for Greater West Bloomfield residents. We really appreciate having Township Supervisor Jonathan Warshay on the program to explain this new information and how it's going to be affecting our residents. With the 4th of July in just a few days, everyone is getting ready to celebrate the holiday with fireworks. But as we all know, setting off fireworks can be very dangerous if not done properly. It can be one of the quickest ways to get you sent right to the hospital. So before you start celebrating the holidays, you got to know how to do it the right way. Rachel Dykes, the manager of Phantom Fireworks in West Bloomfield, recently joined us on The Splash to tell us what we can do. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Always great to have you on, and I'm really curious to be getting into this conversation because I'm sure this is a very busy time of the year for you guys at Phantom Fireworks. What would you say are some of the top safety tips for families planning to use consumer fireworks at home?
So some of the biggest safety tips is to always make sure that you're clear of buildings, trees, vehicles. You want to have a safe distance between all of those items and spectators. You want to make sure that you're not wearing loose-fitting clothing while you're lighting them and protective eyewear. You also want to make sure that you have a designated sober adult to light fireworks and not let children handle fireworks. Fireworks are not, when kids handle fireworks, things can go wrong. So for this fireworks season, we have a fantastic line of light up items that kids can play with while adults are doing that, just to kind of help keep them preoccupied while doing that stuff.
All right, yes, great things for everybody to keep in mind. Things that I'm sure a lot of people are already aware of, but you never know. Some people might not have the state of mind to keep some of those things in check. And you talked about age restrictions for a lot of the fireworks. What age restrictions or supervision guidelines should parents keep in mind when children are around fireworks?
So nobody under the age of 18 should realistically be lighting or shooting off fireworks. We take ID just to maintain that standard safety that everybody who is shopping from us is of age and keeping safe with that. For supervision, parents need to keep an eye on their kids, even with stuff like sparklers. I know that it's very tempting to let them play with that stuff, but just make sure that you are keeping an eye, because it only takes 1 second for something to go wrong.
You're absolutely right. And that makes me think, what are some of the most common injuries or accidents that occur during 4th of July celebrations that involve fireworks?
A lot of them come from just sparklers are one of the number one because they burn so hot, and burns tend to be the number one. So just make sure that you're keeping close supervision.
That's right. You don't want to get those burns on 4th of July. Those just sound like bad news any way you shape it. Now, what should people do if maybe a firework doesn't go off as expected or appears to be malfunctioning?
So if you light a firework and it does not go off, do not try to reignite it. Consider it a dud, douse it in water, soak it in water. Just don't try to redo it. Also, don't lean over a firework if you have tried to light it to look, because if it does decide to go off, then you're over top of it, and that's not good for anybody.
Yeah, I can already imagine the image from there. The fireworks not going off. Somebody's like, what's going on there? And then boom, tragedy happens, and then you're on your way to the hospital. So let's say the fireworks celebration is over. Everything's been lit up. Everything's exploded in the sky. What are the safest ways to dispose of used or unused fireworks after the celebration is over?
Always soak your fireworks in water. Soaking it in water neutralizes the explosive components in it so that it cannot reignite or stay burning. If you have any fireworks that you don't plan to use, like you didn't light them, but you don't plan to use them again, you can also soak those in order to deactivate those explosive components.
Really interesting thing for everybody to keep in mind. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the manager of Phantom Fireworks in West Bloomfield, Rachel Dykes, talking about some very important fireworks safety tips to keep in mind as the 4th of July quickly approaches here in Greater West Bloomfield. Now, how can residents ensure that they are being considerate of maybe neighbors, pets, and maybe also some veterans who may be sensitive to the sound of fireworks?
The easiest way to just be considerate is go talk to your neighbors. We're all friends. We have to live side by side. Just have a conversation. When it comes to pets, get ahead of it now. Don't wait until the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of July to go to your vet and be like, hey, I need some stuff for my pet. Phantom Firework does carry CBD calming aids, and we are also going to have a line of products coming in this upcoming week that has the compression jackets for pets as well. So just know that fireworks are legal starting June 29th through July 5th this year. So don't wait. Get ahead of it now.
All right. Yes. Very important to keep on top of this stuff right now. And how can people protect their homes and nearby properties when setting off fireworks, maybe in some residential areas?
So fireworks should only be lit on private property. They should not be lit on public roadways or anything like that. The biggest way to protect your property and stuff like that is just be vigilant. If you see something going wrong, call 911 immediately. They are prepared for these emergencies to be able to help you.
All right, yes, very important things for everybody to keep in mind. Now, I am curious, because I don't want this whole interview to be all this sad stuff and making it very serious and keeping it on safety, as I do want everyone to be very excited for 4th of July when it comes in just a few weeks. So I'm curious, Rachel, what are some of the most popular fireworks that residents are already looking at and considering for their own celebrations?
Fountains are a very, very popular one for people who might not necessarily have the largest property, just because they are lower impact. They don't go up in the air. And then a lot of people like repeaters or cakes where you light it once and it does multiple shots. Those have been very popular as well. We carry them in a smaller 200-gram version and a 500-gram version.
Interesting. All really, really great options. I think I'm picturing the ones you're talking about. Those are always some of my favorites every single year. Do you have any personal recommendations for residents to take a look at? Maybe some fireworks that maybe people aren't always aware of?
So we actually were able to get a lot of new product in this year, and a lot of that stuff is very good. We have one called Pure Magic. It starts off as a fountain and then goes to a repeater. So we have a couple of combo items like that. We also have, I don't feel like people really look into it too much, but we have assortment packs that have a variety of things from aerial to ground stuff.
Awesome. All great fireworks for everybody to look into for this season. Rachel, I'm going to wrap things up quickly. Do you have any final advice for community members to enjoy a fun yet safe 4th of July celebration?
My final bit of advice would just be have fun, but keep your eyes open. Anything can happen in a split second. And so long as you're being mindful of those things, it can reduce any issues.
All right, wise words for everybody to remember. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you.
Everybody wants to celebrate the 4th of July in the best way that they can, but it's important that we all stay safe while doing so. So we really appreciate Rachel for taking the time to talk with us here on the Splash Live. In just a few short weeks, the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show is making its way right back here to Greater West Bloomfield, featuring several fantastic artists on display for everyone to check out. And one of those artists recently joined us here on the Splash Live, Crucifisha Grillo, who spoke with our very own Tyler Kieft.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, happy to have you on. You come to the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show in late July, bringing a variety of different pieces that all have their origins in some abstract expressionism. Tell us a little bit about your process and what art you create.
Yeah, so my process starts with actually, I'm a very, when I go to different places in the world, or I live in Florida half of the year, so around me, I get my inspiration from that. I also get it from being a female, and I like to show the empowerment of that and how we can explore and move forward with our lives and still have that feminine quality. So that kind of is a projection and cohesive to my work, as well as like travels. I've traveled and lived in Italy. So that really embodies the person that I am as an artist and why I do it.
And when we mentioned that these artists sometimes come from all over the world or have influences from all over the world, you mentioned you lived in Florence, and that had a pretty big impact from my notes on your artistic development, and ultimately it reflects in many of your pieces. How did your time in Florence have influence over the art that you create?
Well, I would have to say, because it's more hands-on and not just literature, I feel like I was able to, I seen where Michelangelo lived. I went to the piazza. I actually took my 2 young teenagers with me at the time. I went back to school when I turned 40 years old, and I told them, give me the highest degree you got. So during my undergrad studies, I ended up going to Florence, and it influenced me in the way where, like I said, hands-on and being able to see in the sculptures and feel it. And it's almost like I gained a freedom of, I can say whatever I want through my artwork, because in my mind, I feel that what an artist has to say, everybody else wants to say it, but we're the vessel to do so for everybody.
So
that's how.
And so from Florence to Florida to Michigan, so many of these places, they have influence in all of your pieces. But you've also described your art as being in part musical too. So how does music or that sort of musical rhythm or melody play a role in how you design the art you're bringing to Orchard Lake?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tyler. So when I began to do my process, I actually put my paints, I'm in my studio, so I put my paints, I consider it like a symphony where I could paint without even having to know visually where the colors are. And so it creates like this symphony to where it enables me to process the work prolifically, as well as it's like I'm singing to my own beat, so it's like a symphony and just taking your own music and taking that and bringing it into my world of art. So that's kind of how I feel a symphony is, where it's like a cohesive, the music is just cohesive, but everybody kind of works together and it creates like a symphony, so that's the way I look at it, and that's how I feel about it.
The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show returns to Powers and Daly Roads just off of Orchard Lake in West Bloomfield, July 26th and 27th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. Many of the artists that will be there will be featured on our show in the coming weeks. And today, that includes Crucifisha Grillo, who joins us on the Splash Live, a mixed media artist who spends her time both in Florida and close to home right here in the state of Michigan. Crucifisha, when you ultimately come to the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show in late July, people walk up to your stand, they see your art. What are the immediate feelings you hope are invoked in them, or what they take from viewing and hopefully purchasing your pieces?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tyler, because I want to show you this, sure. I do mixed media, and I have a few types of bodies of work, right? So the first, one body of work consists of my females, which are here. And so these are in the interior of my tent. And so when they walk in there, I feel like they have like an empowerment as a female or as a male as well, but empowerment towards the female. And then I also have my sculptures here, which that takes that as well. So if you see how I've taken my old world from being in Italy, and I've taken that and I make my sculptures, so that embodies the woman as well. And then, Tyler, I have back here, this is a actual one I just finished, and it is from a picture I had taken years ago in Florence. I'm going to be heading to Italy again this year, as well as I have artwork in Florence, and it's going to go to Milan and Rome. But this one here is indigenous to wood itself. I have created on red cedar, and the red cedar, what it does is it absorbs the paint very well, but each one of my edges, I want people to know, and when they see that I use high quality, because I feel like my artwork deserves to be on something that is meaningful. So the wood that I use is red cedar, and I take and break all of these edges, everything here, and then it goes in onto, I piece it all together, kind of like a puzzle. So I want people to see and recognize that I'm very diverse in my artwork. Yes, it's about the female when you first walk in, but it's the female who travels to all these places. So cohesively, I feel like that embodies, that. So that's what I feel. I feel like it's a freedom. I just feel free. I feel free when I make my artwork, because it's my own world, and then I can share it with others. And I want it to touch their heart, So that's why I'm here on this earth.
And that's such a big part of what art plays in people's lives. It's exploration, it's creativity, it's relaxation, but there's also that nurturing element to it. How much of a factor do you think that plays, not only in your design, but ultimately when you go to these art shows and you're interfacing with customers, ultimately their appreciation of what you've created?
Great question. So I have a client that I've been in touch with from last year, from this actual show in West Bloomfield at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. And since then, a wonderful person. She purchased quite a few of my pieces. I went to Fort Lauderdale. I met up with her. She made me dinner. it was great. And then as I was there, she decided she wanted another piece. I commissioned one for her as well. So I am very personable, and when people buy my pieces, I'm hoping that they will understand that they're buying a piece of me, and therefore their heart and life are going to be touched by what I created. And I know that somehow it's almost as if it was made for them, you know. So that's what I vision in my mind.
We only have a limited amount of time for these interviews on the Splash Live. You will have unlimited time at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show to explore so much art from so many incredible artists at one of the top 100 art shows in America, as voted 12 times by Sunshine Artist Magazine. The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, July 26th and 27th in West Bloomfield Township. Joining us on the Splash today is Krisha Fisher-Grillo, who's one of the many artists you will see there. And Krisha Fisher, we thank you so much for your time today and showing us your art.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Hope to see everybody there. It's a great show.
Really is a great show. But that is going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to everybody on our team for helping to make this show possible, and for all of our guests for stopping by and for telling us what they know. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.